Residents of a Brooklyn Center neighborhood are raising concerns over the decorating choices of a homeowner near 65th and Xerxes. As Delane Cleveland reports, the owner of the property says she's sending a message.
It's a museum, baby.
Protests come in many forms, but a house near 65th and Xerxes in Brooklyn Center is pushing past the boundaries of what others believe is appropriate. The property is covered in the acronym for Black Lives Matter, along with a profanity-laced message deriding law enforcement.
It's not spray paint. I didn't tag it with spray paint. I rolled a roller and painted it pretty.
Siobhan Terry Maxwell is the homeowner.
I'm sending them a proud, strong message across America, obviously, that I'm not playing no games and leave me alone.
She says she painted her property after police apparently raided her home following an arrest at a protest in Uptown last month.
I'm a target for no reason. I didn't even do nothing. So I decided to tag my house since they wanted to raid it.
We tried talking to neighbors and nobody wanted to go on camera, but they told us things such as they're not sure why someone would want to do this to their own house, and they respect the homeowner's right to protest, but the profanity is not appropriate for the neighborhood. People did, however, weigh in on social media over the last couple of weeks. But despite the backlash, Siobhan remains unapologetic and has no plans to paint over the messages, even after a visit from a city inspector.
He rolled his window down, he said, "Ma'am," and then he opened his door. "We need to talk to you about the graffiti." Graffiti? What graffiti? These are tattoos on my house. My body's covered in tattoos. Farrakhan said I can paint whatever color house I like in America, right? I told him if he had a problem with it, talk to the Nation of Islam. He pulled off.
I reached out to city officials and they said that this is a sensitive case, but they're working with the property owner and the city attorney on a path forward that would bring the property into compliance while also upholding the property owner's rights. In Brooklyn Center, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
A 20-year-old Brooklyn Park man has pleaded guilty to setting fire to a St. Paul business during the civil unrest after George Floyd's death. Samuel Fry pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit arson. Surveillance video captured Fry inside Great Health and Nutrition store in May of last year. Court documents show he lit a piece of paper on fire and used hand sanitizer to accelerate the flames. Damage to the St. Paul store caused the business to remain closed for nearly 2 months after the fire. Fry will be sentenced at a later date. Members of the school board and community all gave passionate statements at Tuesday night's Osseo school board meeting ahead of a vote on a gender inclusion policy. Before the meeting, a group gathered outside of the school district office to rally for passage of a new policy that would ensure that every student has access to programming, activities, and facilities, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity.
The policy is lengthy, but the primary goals are for our scholars and that they will be able to use the names and genders in which they identify. They will be able to access the facilities that match their identity, and they will be able to participate in extracurriculars that match their identity.
The school board passed the policy on a 4-2 vote. The 2 members who voted no expressed concerns about a lack of public engagement before the passage of the policy and a lack of clarity in the new policy. For the first time in decades, water restrictions in Minneapolis kick in, and these restrictions impact the cities of New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley. That's because those northwest suburbs get their water from Minneapolis via the Mississippi River. The new restrictions mean no lawn sprinkling from noon until 6 p.m. Residents must restrict their outdoor watering to every other day by following an odd, even schedule.
This is not a common thing that we have to experience, and I want to stress that our water is still safe and reliable to drink. It's just some of these extra uses we need to kind of cut back on that to help conserve water. So we have water for the everyday needs that people have, just for health, safety, and welfare.
The new restrictions will remain in place until further notice. Dry conditions are also impacting farmers across the state. According to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, more than 50% of the state is dealing with severe drought. Reporter Sonia Goen shows us the unusual dilemma facing a Brooklyn Park farmer.
I never seen this bad.
Burt Bauman's Fresh Pickens Farm is a staple in Brooklyn Park. He's been selling fresh corn and other vegetables for more than 10 years. However, this year, things are different.
Nature has thrown a really bad curveball.
Bauman farms about 200 acres. The pumpkin and cornfields are growing well, but because of the drought, he has to work harder to keep things green and luscious.
It's a big challenge. Physically and emotionally, we are drained.
Brooklyn Park farmers have a unique challenge. The soil is very sandy, and farmers have to water more often.
This is what Bauman's field would look like without an irrigation system. This field at a neighboring farm is about half the size it should be.
So the demand of water on sandy field is tremendous. It's wonderful to grow vegetables, but you have to be worried about getting water to it.
Bauman has 2 wells and multiple watering systems, including a larger scale irrigation sprinkler and a drip irrigation system.
With the drip irrigation, I'm conserving water like incredible.
But all the watering to keep the crops and vegetables green is costing him a lot of cash.
For sure, 20% above what normal cost is.
He says the excessive heat is also causing corn to grow faster, and that produces a different problem.
We might have a shortage of corn at the end of the season because everything is growing faster than normal.
All that extra corn is not going to waste. He donates it to a local food shelf.
I am donating 2 truckloads this week because I have too much. And I'm glad to do that. I'm glad to be able to harvest and still utilize what I have extra.
Meanwhile, the generous farmer is praying for precipitation.
So we are hoping that this will end at one point.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
It's playoff time for local American Legion baseball teams as sub-state tournaments are held this week. Teams from the northwest suburbs are the #1 seeds in 3 different tournaments. That includes Wayzata's #1 Legion team, and here's highlights from their opening round win. Wayzata the site for the Sub-State 4 American Legion baseball tournament. Armstrong facing Wayzata's top team. Logan Fragamini gets the scoring started in the second inning for Wayzata as he drives it over the fence for a solo shot. It's a common theme in this game. Wayzata adds 1 more to lead 2-0 after 2. Some nice D, too. Armstrong's Bryce Campbell with a bunt, but third baseman Josh Gullickson handles it to get the out for Wayzata. In the bottom of the third, Wayzata plays long ball again as Anthony Esposito connects and clears the fence. The ball carries well on this hazy night. Wayzata goes up 4-0 through 3 innings. Armstrong's turn in the fourth as Chris Bray gets a hold of one and he sends it out. It's a solo shot and Armstrong is on the board for the first time, trailing it 4-1. In the bottom of the fourth, more big bats for Wayzata. Nick Gebhardt's turn to go deep this time. His blast gives Wayzata a 5-1 lead, and they're well on their way. One more big drive seals the deal. Fragamini connects again in the 6th, and this time it's a 3-run shot as Wayzata 1 rolls to a 9-1 win. They're facing Rogers in the winner's bracket Wednesday. The tournament runs through Saturday. Osseo is the top seed with Maple Grove #2 for the Sub-State 11 tournament, which is hosted by Osseo. Champlin is the top seed in Golden Valley #2 for the Sub-State 9 tournament in Coon Rapids. Watch for more on our website, ccxmedia.org. Well, one of the area's longest running slow pitch softball tournaments is this week in Crystal. Here's more on the Crystal Frolics tournament. After a 1-year absence due to COVID-19, the popular Crystal Frolics men's softball tournament is back this week.
Well, I think it's great that we're having the tournament in 2021. Last year, 2020, we weren't able to have it. Teams are excited to get back. We're down a few teams here because of the pandemic, but I think teams are ready to kind of come back and play at the Crystal Frolics.
There are 2 divisions, the gold for Class C teams and silver for D and E teams. It's mostly a local field this time around.
We've had teams from Atlanta, we've had teams from Texas, we've had teams from Colorado. This year it's mostly right around here, North St. Paul, Coon Rapids, Crystal, New Hope area and things like that.
The former main site for Frolic softball for many years was Becker Park, but a redesign removed the softball fields at that site. Players and fans are getting used to Welcome Park as the hub.
One of the things that is nice about it this year is all the games are going to be played at Welcome. You've got the best of two worlds. You've got the old school softball tournaments, Welcome 2 and Welcome 3, and then you've got the brand new super field, 325 to center, 315 down the line. Beautiful fields, beautiful infields, and it gives you the best of both worlds.
It's not a tournament for national powers, and things have changed some, but Frolics has maintained a core following.
And the excitement up at on Friday and Saturday nights during the schedule, where the highlight games are played and watched, and the fans that would kind of come to watch, I think that's the exciting type of thing. People come for the softball, people come for the camaraderie, and people kind of come to kind of be part of the whole atmosphere of the Crystal Frolics.
It's about time to play ball again at the Frolics. That's all for sports. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jay Wilcox.
Find more prep sports games and highlights at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.